I'm a massive fan of the superhero genre, and I've never really dipped my toes into the DC universe that much. And since the cinematic universe is getting restarted, what better time to take a look back and see why the old one failed? I've only seen a few of these movies, and I remember them not being the greatest, so could this change my mind? Right out of the gate, I have to ask, do people like this version of Superman? While watching this movie, I was very confused why people were shitting on the new one coming out. Because this guy doesn't seem all that great to begin with. I didn't get any grasp of what his character is about, because he's just a brick wall. There doesn't seem to be any personality or defining character traits to make me care for this character, which is awkward considering this is an origin story for Superman. I can't really tell you anything about him. To build on this point more, we barely even see Superman doing anything superhero-y until the final climax, and that barely counts since he's just destroying things. I get he isn't technically Superman yet, but you gotta give us something at least. What a great way to start the review. I went into this movie expecting it to be not that great, since that is the reputation these movies have. But I was pleased to find that I kind of enjoyed my time. I was pretty invested in the climax, since there is a ton of destruction and characters being sent flying. It really felt like an anime battle. The opening scene of Krypton's destruction finally clued me in on why Clark was sent to Earth in the first place. And I think I like General Zod more than Superman in the Superman movie. He's got some sound motivation, involving reviving his people and rebuilding Krypton on Earth. And I think him quickly learning how to use all the Superman powers is absolutely wicked. He comes with a more serious tone the movie goes for, and I really appreciate this, considering how fried my brain has become from all the Marvel movies. The darker tone leads to a lot more dramatic and heartfelt moments that had me a bit on the edge of my seat. Sadly, that's where the positives end, because this isn't a great movie. Most of the elements in the plot kind of just happen without much build up at all. We start following Clark when he's already an adult and has mostly control over his powers. There are some flashbacks that show moments in Clark's life, and it's neat that the story is shown a bit out of order, but it leaves some aspects feeling messy. Seeing more of Clark actually growing up would have helped invoke the idea that he has to save this world because he grew up there. And since we don't see much of this, it feels really forced. I can't get into Jonathan's noble sacrifice because I don't even know the guy. In saying all that, I think this is a goodish film. There are things to like, and somehow the main character is the worst part. Batman v Superman tries to do a lot of things, but only some of them work. For starters, it obviously introduces Ben Affleck's Batman to this universe. Batman's origin story is very well known by people at this point, and this version is tackled similar to how Superman has been done lately. Just skip the origin altogether. It's briefly shown at the start of the movie, and gets the point across very well. I think they introduced Batman pretty well, as he's the one with the most screen time. We understand why he wants to fight Superman, as we see the events of Man of Steel from his point of view, which was cool. Bruce believes that Superman is a massive threat to mankind, which he sees firsthand, and we see him working towards this goal of trying to kill him throughout the movie. There is part of me that definitely thinks we should have gotten a solo Batman film before this one, which then would make this movie feel more hype. In the other corner is Superman, who is still so boring. This is a perfect chance for Clark to become more than a piece of cement, but he still doesn't care. He literally watches a whole room of people blow up and reacts like this. His motivation for wanting to fight Batman is that he doesn't? Okay, not entirely. Batman has a bad habit of branding the criminals he faces, which leads to them getting killed in prison. And Clark doesn't like this, even though he probably kills people all the time. This doesn't get them to fight, however. It's the villain kidnapping Clark's mother, but he still doesn't want to fight. He only does throw hands when Bruce starts beating the shit out of him. I get this was probably meant to show how one-sided this beef is, and prove Bruce is in the wrong. But the movie is called Batman v Superman. Give both parties a good reason to throw down. The fight itself doesn't even last that long. It consists of Batman curb stomping Superman, and they stop because both their mothers are named Martha.
Save Martha! Why did you say that name?
This was a lame way to finish a quick-ass fight. They were hyping this up for the whole movie, and it just ends. Ugh. I know I just shut on the titular fight, but what we got was actually pretty good. All the fights are at least entertaining to watch, but Batman is way too brutal here. I know for a fact he doesn't kill people, but that's basically what he's doing. The movie also introduces Wonder Woman, and again, I think they did a decent job bringing the character into the universe, as she just shows up a few times and then joins the fight in the end. But her movie should have come before this. It would make her entrance have much more weight. The final fight is against a big CGI monster made from General Zod's body and Lex Luthor's blood, who is more or less the main villain, and he's a little freak. I thought Lex was meant to be this cool, calm businessman, but here, he's just weird. He wants to ruin Superman's reputation because he's part of a worldwide debate whether he's good or bad. So Lex wants him to kill Batman. What did Batman do to you? Lex doesn't have any connection to Bruce and only talks to him once. I don't really get the good or evil debate when Superman has proven multiple times that he's on humanity's side, but I can see where they're coming from. It just becomes annoying. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of the overall movie, just some things in it. Plus, this film is 2.5 hours long, so there's so many filler scenes. This movie is notoriously hated, and while I didn't like it, I didn't hate it. We follow a group of villains as they save the world from an evil enchantress. A very big switch up from the past two movies, but it's sadly worse. I actually don't mind the premise of the government using villains as soldiers, but it gets ruined by the fact that none of these guys are good in any way. None of them grow or change, and they end up exactly where they were at the start. Showing us most of their backstories won't help me like them, because it wasn't earned. There's an attempt to gaslight me into thinking they learned to care for one another, but I don't believe them. That scene in the bar is the closest we get to actual character development, but it still sucks. And it's 100% the script's fault, because all these guys are clearly good actors. There are some awful jokes that make me physically cringe from how stupid they are. And the whole film is painfully unfunny. Margot Robbie's sex appeal won't save it either. Jared Leto's Joker is just weird and annoying. He doesn't give me that fear I should be feeling when I see him. Also, I have a question. This team was put together with the idea of fighting metahumans and otherworldly threats. But why is it just people here? They want to use people with unique skills and abilities. So it makes sense to have Diablo, Killer Croc, and I guess Deadshot. But why choose Harley Quinn and Captain Boomerang? And don't say because they're good fighters, because I doubt that. I fully understand why Diablo was chosen, because he's the best character if we're judging cool factor. His powers are sweet. The most interesting character I think is Amanda Waller, solely based on how morally grey she is. Wish we could have gotten more of her, but I can't be any more disappointed in the movie. I've been enjoying how connected this universe has been as a whole. Like Batman makes a couple of appearances, and even continues the overall story in the post-credit scene, getting files on other metahumans that will pay off very soon. We get a taste of one of these in The Flash making an appearance. It's funny how my favourite part of this movie is something that's not even part of the movie. I wouldn't say this is horrible, it's just pretty bad. Wonder Woman looks like a masterpiece compared to the past movies. After being introduced in Batman v Superman, Diana is given her own movie to flesh out the character. This is finally a proper origin story for a character. We see everything in order, and you can actually get a grasp on what she's like. She must fulfill her destiny and defeat the god of war Ares, not Kratos. So she joins World War I. The war is a backdrop and ties into the idea of mankind being easily corruptible, which was what Ares was trying to prove. Diana thinks that if she defeats Ares, the war will stop, but she learns the truth. Humans are bad. I think the war is a great way to connect this very real concept to all the god stuff being thrown out there. The fish out of water element works really well to bring some comedic moments that lighten the mood on this very dark topic. We follow a small group of characters who are just trying to navigate this conflict, and they are all pretty likable. Enough where I could tell you the name of some. Steve? There is a character named Steve, thank you very much. And he's great. I think the dynamic he has with Diana is well executed. And how does bro lock in so much around her?
So you cannot sleep with me unless I marry you.
I'll sleep with you if you want. I'll sleep right there.
There's plenty of room.
Then fine, if you don't mind.
The film's fight scenes are all goated too. I'm not used to praising DC this much. Help! They are a good mix between the Batman fights and the Superman ones, being grounded at times, then having some larger scale battles. These would be perfect if it wasn't for the constant slow motion. It happens all the time and my brain was getting numb from it all. I can see how it's cool though. Steve got something important to do in the climax, and he could have easily been overshadowed by Diana's Dragon Ball fight. One more thing. The pacing is leagues better than everything so far. Scenes are so snappy and get to the point, where I only somewhat noticed that this went for 2.5 hours. How dare they make me like Wonder Woman as a character? I thought I'd be hating all these guys. The best way to describe Justice League is...
Kal-El, no!
It's a huge scale team-up movie with 6 characters. Except we've only met half of them. I've talked about my feelings towards Batman not getting his own movie, and how that affected BVS, so I'm gonna do it again with other characters. Aquaman and the Flash make their grand debut here, and it feels like we should already know who they are and what they're about. We get some moments where characters exposition some lore, but the way it's delivered is more like a recap. This could have worked better, but I still think the characters and the team up as a whole would have still benefited from more solo movies. Okay, I'm done complaining about this. You've probably noticed that I didn't mention the 6th member. Well, I think he works in this movie without the need for his own. Cyborg has his own little arc about accepting himself and his new body, while also learning how to control it. He gets a lot of screen time, which allows his character to feel more well-rounded. It's a shame he never appears again. For the returning characters, Diana doesn't change or develop much, but that's fine since we came from her movie. And Bruce does continue his character from BVS. He wants to revive Clark to combat this alien invasion. Oh yeah, I don't think I mentioned Clark died at the end of Batman vs Superman. And he doesn't care about the risks. This is fully in line with him, as once again, Earth is threatened, and he'll do anything to save it. I've grown quite fond of Batman, as we see him desperately try to keep up with the other, more superpowered beings. I just don't know why all of a sudden, he's quipping all the time.
Sorry, guys. I didn't bring a sword. Jesus. He is tall. Do you bleed? Oh, something is definitely bleeding.
His jokes don't work at all, and I'd much prefer him be the more straight man to balance out the others. And the most improved character is Superman. He's not in the movie that much, but what we get is greater than anything we got from him before. Clark actually has personality instead of being a pile of mud. He seems happy for once, and makes quips of his own, which fits him so well.
Well, I knew you didn't bring me back because you like me. Slowpoke. Any blowback?
Big time. But I think we could take it.
Good. 'Cause I really like being alive.
I take it back. I want to die.
They are dumb and cheesy, and I love it. It's a shame he never appears again. This team was a little hard to buy into for me, because it seemed like they hated each other. Well, at least they're fighting together. And who are they fighting? His name is Steppenwolf, and he is boring as hell. His villain scheme is so lame, with him needing to collect 3 boxes to do whatever this is. His design is pretty basic, and he doesn't have any unique powers or anything. He's just got zero aura. He becomes a joke when Superman shows up. And this is the big bad that the story was building up to? Why didn't they show us these super important boxes beforehand? DC really blew their load too early, because once again, there was no build up to this. And what's funny is that this film is forgettable. Nothing stands out in my mind. Even the fight scenes that have been consistently solid, except you, Suicide Squad, lack the sauce I was hoping for. The only thing I liked is ripped away from me. Maybe the post-credit scene will save us. Oh, it's Lex returning, foreshadowing building his own villain league. It's a shame he never appears again. Justice League is watchable if you turn your brain off, but if you're looking for a good crossover movie, look somewhere else. Before you go, look at this cool Aquaman moment. I hope we see him in, I don't know, his own movie? Well, would you look at that? Aquaman does so much right, where I almost have nothing bad to say about it. I do have some little nitpicks that are fine in their own right, but I think they could have been improved to further the movie. We follow Arthur, aka Aquaman, as he goes on an adventure to find a MacGuffin, to become king, to stop the surface from going to war with Atlantis. We explore many different parts of the land and sea, with each location bringing new variety to what they offer. We see Atlantis, a desert kingdom, a mystical world, and a bar. Arthur and Amber Heard's character are being hunted down by King Orm, who is Arthur's half-brother. He wants to war with the surface because of mankind's general misdoings like pollution and all that. This makes sense, but I think having Orm hate the surface for personal reasons could have made his beef with Arthur more personal. What if Orm went to the surface, wanting to meet his brother, and were shunned by people? It's small, yes, but I think it would have helped flesh him out a little more. His main beef with Arthur is over their mum being killed, because she had Arthur with a human. Ugh. You can tell between the brothers' interactions that they wouldn't mind being closer, but external factors push them apart. The idea of Arthur's mum being killed is kind of void when it's revealed that she isn't. And this twist is unbelievable. Oh, none of the characters, or us as the audience, saw her die? I wonder what will happen. That's a general rule of thumb for movies. If we don't see a character die or their body, 9 times out of 10, they're still alive. Arthur is a great character, with him not really wanting to be king, but does anyway to protect his loved ones. You can tell that Jason Momoa is having a blast playing the character, and I couldn't help but laugh at some of his jokes.
Permission to come aboard?
They've upgraded Aquaman from being a sarcastic dickhead in Justice League to being a lovable sarcastic dickhead here.
Show off. I could have just peed on it.
He has a great bond with his dad and the other characters. And why is Momoa absolutely posed up here? I appreciate that Arthur isn't worthy of the Triton because he's the main character, and that's it. No, he earns it because of his unique power to talk to sea creatures. So does so with the creature guarding it. It's a small act that shows the king potential he has. A lot of the stuff like this subverts your expectations. Like when you think Arthur is about to get in a bar fight, but these guys just want a photo, and they all have a good time. It's cute. Or when an explosion interrupts an important scene, it just becomes comedic. I wasn't expecting the Triton combat to be this cool, but here we are. Actually, all the fight scenes are superb and different in their own ways. One is a whole one take. One has Arthur and Orm fighting underwater, and another one is on land. One in a small town as the characters travel through buildings. They are all awesome and none slack. I love how dunked on Black Manta gets. The movie succeeds in a lot of other ways too. Like there are some really good shots. The costume design is phenomenal, even this thing. The parallels between the two fights with Orm are satisfying. And why is this all so good? DC, what are you cooking here? Unfortunately, I do have to nitpick, so... Why can Amber Heard's character do this water magic stuff? No other Atlanteans have any special powers, except Arthur, duh. So I would have at least liked there to be an explanation. There are a lot of location titles that just state somewhere in blank. And was that really necessary? For the different kingdoms, okay, that's fine. But I get this is in the ocean, stop telling me! And finally, this young Arthur actor is very funny to me.
Are you saying they executed her? Because she had me?
Aquaman is by far my favorite DC movie. But what I've heard about the next movies, there isn't going to be one to top this. Shazam is a very cute movie, because there isn't a whole lot going on, but that's not a bad thing. It follows Billy Batson as he gets the amazing superpower of growing older. The scale of the movie is tiny, with the whole idea being what happens if a teenager got superpowers.
I'd like to purchase some of your finest beer, please.
There is some plot happening as this guy wants Billy's powers, and you can tell he's evil because he's bald. He wants these powers because the wizard giving it out said he wasn't good enough, and so did his father. It's simple and kind of effective, I guess. But since there isn't a massive world-ending threat, I wish Thad had a little bit more to him. This movie isn't trying too hard to do anything impressive, so it's a chill time with some funny moments.
It kind of tickles. You're dead.
Zachary Levi does a great job playing the character in the goofier moments, but when shit gets real, I cannot take him seriously. He looks like he's gonna doo-doo in the red onesie. Billy realizing who his true family is was a charming and wholesome story, but I wish we saw him interact with the other foster siblings. He spends most of the time with Freddy, who is an annoying character, and Billy gets one moment with both sisters. This all accumulates when Billy shares his powers with his siblings, giving us a pretty neat final. It was satisfying seeing Freddy getting the powers, considering how much he was into all the superhero stuff. You know what else is great about this film? We actually get scenes of Billy saving people, which I don't think we've seen before outside of a world-ending threat. This is a good time, but I think there's a few too many scenes of Barry just messing around, and that aspect overstays its welcome.
and I'm telling it, so I'll start where I fucking want.
The best way to describe how I feel about Birds of Prey is, I could care less. I wasn't really a fan of Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad, so I was super excited to watch the movie about her. Her whole I'm crazy shtick doesn't really work for me because it seems too overplayed. They try to give Harley more depth by having her whole character revolve around the Joker breaking up with her, but like, who cares? The Joker was in Suicide Squad for 5 minutes, so I don't care about him as a person. And the two of them had hardly any scenes together, so I don't care for them as a couple. In turn, I couldn't give a shit about their relationship or breakup. Therefore, I don't care for Harley. And it's not just Harley. I don't really like any of these characters. They all serve the same role. Badass. Badass and badass. Oh, and there's a kid. I can't be too mean on Huntress though. Come on. Come on. You might think I'm being a little too harsh, but even Ewan McGregor also doesn't do it for me. His character is also pretty crazy, and that's about it. His crazy seems the most played up, and he's also just uninteresting. Give any of these characters a signature personality trait or something. The way all these characters are introduced is so annoying too. Something random happens. Harley says, wait, rewind, or something, and we get the backstory for that character and how they ended up here. That sounds fine on paper, but this happened so many times, I was losing my mind. This movie is just trying to do what Deadpool did, but not well at all. The constant narrating to the audience, seeing stuff out of order, the over-the-top violence, and humor. It all comes across as a cheap imitation. It tries too hard to be zany and funny, to the point where I cringe at parts. I just couldn't stay focused on this movie, and maybe because the plot was kind of whatever as well. This kid eats a diamond, and Ewan McGregor wants it. The main characters are brought together by separate means, but fight to protect the kid. I find that I can like a movie if the story or characters are interesting even a little. But not here. Like, this film is in a superhero franchise, and no one here has superpowers, or anything to make them special. Sorry, Canary had superpowers, but she uses them only once. My bad. Even with this stupid point I made, the fight scenes go a little hard at times. There aren't too many, but there's moments that I don't mind. The big fight in the funhouse was pretty neat. Birds of Prey and the stupid, boring-ass adventure of Harley Quinn is ass to me. But I recognize that just might be me. And I think Suicide Squad is an objectively worse movie. So it's not the worst, only the second worst so far. I had a really fun time with Wonder Woman 1984, and that's such a weird subheading. It's only called that because the movie takes place in 1984. Wow. I'm just gonna say that this movie is so batshit crazy, but so much fun for me anyway. It's all based around this rock, and it grants wishes, and a guy who becomes that rock, and grants wishes himself. Aha, but he himself can't wish for anything, so he gets other people to wish, and he takes something in return. Monkey's paw and all that. This is such a great premise, with the wishes getting so out of hand. It almost causes the whole world to collapse. Max Lord, who has a great last name, as the wish-giving dick, is a fun villain because he's so over the top. I know I didn't like that in Birds of Prey, but here it's done way better and feels more natural. Max is a guy who always wants more, and this leads him to evolve from wanting oil to the whole world. It's so funny watching this unfold, and he's played by Pedro Pascal, so you know he's gonna deliver a killer performance.
Life is good, but it can be better.
He even gets a little arc of learning to appreciate what he has instead of what he hasn't. Diana also gets a little more character development, as she accidentally wishes for Steve to come back to life, at the cost of her powers. It's nice seeing her in a more vulnerable state, and it's a great way to nerf her without it seeming too forced. She has to learn to let go of him and move on. And Steve is having the time of his life, learning everything about this new world. Diana has to kind of teach him everything, which was a nice mirroring of their dynamic in the first movie. Their chemistry has improved a lot since last time, and Chris Pine also performs really great. There is a B-plot of Diana's friend Barbara making a wish to be more like her, but it slowly corrupts her, gives her powers, and eventually turns her into a cheater. Okay, that last thing is a little strange, but it reflects how she wants to be different and better to those who shunned her. Her final fight with Diana was a little lame though, which is a shame since DC usually does pretty well in this stuff. This might be an unpopular opinion, but Wonder Woman 2 is an entertaining watch. Nothing too great, but nice to have. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'Cause I don't wanna be the one to die. 'C This is a first for the channel, looking at a different cut of an already covered movie. I wouldn't have done this if it added only a few small changes, but they added an hour and a half worth of footage, so it's pretty much a new movie. This makes the film 4 hours long. What I believe to be the max amount of time needed for a movie is 2.5 hours at the most. 4 hours is just way too long for a movie I've already seen. There are extended scenes, shortened scenes, new scenes, so it does feel a little different, but come on. Anyway, the plot is still the same, with our characters trying to stop Steppenwolf from collecting these boxes. But now we know why he's doing it, and who for. It's this guy, Darkseid, who I think is like the Thanos of the DC universe. He wants some anti-life equation, whatever that is, and Steppenwolf is happy to do it for him. I just realized Steppenwolf looks different. The big benefit from the too long runtime is that we get a lot more scenes of the Justice League interacting with each other, which is nice. They seem like they actually like each other here. Wow. Some of them get tweaked a little bit, like Arthur is way more toned down and nice to everyone. Batman doesn't quip anymore, but they took away what I liked about his characterization. He doesn't have the save the world at all cost mentality. When they discuss bringing Superman back, everyone is immediately on board, so he doesn't get to have that conversation with Diana if Clark would want to come back, and the moral implications of that. Bruce also seems a lot more prepared in the original, which is more in character. When Clark is revived, in case he got out of control, Bruce gets Lois to come out to talk him down. He doesn't have this plan B in the Snyder Cut, with Lois just coincidentally being nearby. Victor gets tons more spotlight, as we see his accident, him getting experimented on, and the strained relationship he has with his dad. His character arc feels more whole here. The Flash is still the same, but we see him use his powers for cooler things. They actually completely changed the ending, with the hero's plan failing, and Barry has to reverse time. It's a very cool scene visually. Barry is meant to be the comedy relief, but I don't find his awkward remarks funny.
Must be Barry. I'm Diana.
Hi, Barry. I'm Diana. That's not right.
We actually lose all the comedy from the first version, which I think was a bad thing. Zack Snyder obviously loves his serious stories, and while Batman's jokes didn't work before, a lot of the other characters did for me. For instance, I said how much I liked Superman making shitty quips, but they robbed me of that here. The lack of jokes makes this movie feel miserable to watch, because 4 hours of this dark mood is exhausting. At least have 1 or 2 in there to break some of the tension, but I'm aware that's just a me thing. The visuals are clearly a lot more grey, with a lot of colour being sucked out. The original is much more appealing to look at, and goes alongside the goofier tone. The grey in turn does accommodate the seriousness. While I thought this film was a fun treat to have now, I don't think it 100% replaces the original. Both do different things I like and dislike, so it just comes down to what you prefer. It's pretty much the same movie, it's just expanding some of the stuff the original did okay. It mainly just comes down to the runtime for me. Yeah, this is the best DC movie ever. And who would have thought it would be the sequel to the worst one? The Suicide Squad is about more criminals being sent on a mission to collect something, and then devolves into saving the world from a supernatural being. This is 100% the same exact plot from the first one, except way better based on how likable all the characters are. The titular squad that kills itself is composed of actually well-written characters that form bonds with one another, and I actually believe they're friends. Bloodsport is a great straight man to bounce off the more goofier ones, like John Cena's Peacemaker.
You're laughing at me for, man? Why the fuck are you in your underwear? Tighty whities? Really? Now that's just racist. No.
Unironically, the best character in this entire universe, who gets the one TV show that's part of all this, where he has developed so much to the point that he is the only character being brought into the new DCEU, and he looks like this. I love John Cena as an actor, and I love Peacemaker as a character. The rest of the squad are great too, and hello Harley. I still do not care for this character. I just don't get it. A character I straight up hate now is Waller. She was fun in the first movie, with how morally grey she was, but here she's just a lot more evil, and it doesn't make much sense. When Starro is unleashed, yes, this is a thing, Waller tells the squad to not try and stop it, because it's not America's issue. What does she think Starro's gonna do very soon? Probably try and take over the whole world, which, is this thing on? Hello, Amanda? Includes America, if you don't know that. Plus, it was the American government who brought Starro here and experimented on it, so Wouldn't it make more sense that she want this thing dead and gone? She's just willing to let the whole world die, okay. The comedy of this movie works so much better than literally every other movie, since James Gunn was behind it. He made the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and you can really tell he loves his unknown misfit characters.
No way.
And
Yeah, the Suicide Squad is awesome. It gets a lot right and is a joy to watch. It's also really gory, which I didn't expect. Black Adam is an okay movie. How did we go from the Suicide Squad to this? I remember this movie being kind of shit, and it's not that far off, but it managed to do some stuff I didn't mind. It incorporates lore from Shazam, like the wizard being here, and we see what happened to the other wizards. The fact that Teth Adams' powers are the same as Billy's helps us fully understand what he can do right off the bat, and boy does he use those powers. Since they weren't really used to their full potential in Shazam, I'm so glad we get a ton of scenes of Black Adam absolutely wrecking shit with them. He just can't be stopped and it's so awesome. A lot of the fight scenes are done really well, and I'm talking above the usual DC goodness. Black Adam himself is a little distracting though, since it's just The Rock. He's not really trying anything to make the character his own, just acting like he usually does, but at least he's not slinging jokes every 5 minutes. Okay, there's like one or two.
You killed him, didn't you? He didn't make it.
Teth Adam has a pretty neat backstory. His son was chosen as champion, but gave it up to save Adam, and then he used them for revenge. He spends the whole movie learning to be the man his son believed in, and it's all done well, I thought. There are a small circle of side characters who are all okay in their own right. Each of them brings something unique, and I think I just really like Sorcerer characters, because Dr. Fate is awesome. And then he sacrifices himself, and it's very emotional. Good stuff. I like Hawkman and Black Adam's beef, with their ideologies clashing a lot. However, there is a kid character who I can't stand. And he's in this a lot. He's somehow more annoying than Freddy, so that's really impressive. It's a shame the villain of the movie is basically a more evil Black Adam. He's another champion, but for demons, and can fly and shoot elements. Wow. I don't know what I expected, to be honest, because everything about this movie screams mediocre. It's an okay watch, but I don't think people were clamoring for these characters to come back. Also, can I mention that Superman showing up in the post-credit scene teases something that could have been awesome, but nothing comes out of it. I honestly think this should have been Shazam to tease these two squaring off at some point. But The Rock ruined it with his weird-ass promotion.
It's time for India versus Pakistan.
I'm standing up now. I thought we would discuss Shazam Fury of the Gods in a more free-speaking manner. Now, we'll say, I don't like this movie very much. I don't think it's cute or as funny as the original. It almost comes off like it's trying too hard to be funny, and that's really cringe to me. Even the plot feels very unplanned. Like things happen, and then they're immediately revoked. For instance, Freddy gets taken by the new villains. They use the staff from the last movie to take the powers away from the kids. They do this to Freddy pretty early on, and they kidnap him, and then the Shazam team, as you know, whatever they are, go to save him, which they do, and he gets his powers back, hooray. And they escape, and I shit you not, like 2 scenes later, he gets his powers taken again. Like, what was the point in all this? The Daughters of Atlas, which are the villains I said before, get their hands on this golden apple. And then, while they're trying to get Freddy back, Shazam takes the golden apple. But then, same thing, couple scenes later, and now the daughters have the apple back. Things just go back and forth when they don't really need to, and it makes things feel very repetitive. The Daughters of Atlas themselves have very weird motivation, and it changes multiple times. First, they want to get the champion's power back because they don't deserve it. Then they want to get revenge for their father. And then they want the apple to recreate their realm. Like, none of it flows together nicely. And yeah, they can want to do all 3 of these things, but it still just feels weird when they flip-flop between mentioning what they want. But the way they explain their plan is like, oh, we wanted the apple the whole time, even though we never saw it before, nor did they mention it. It all just feels really silly to me. And that even goes for some of the moments in this film. Like I mentioned, this isn't cute or funny, so when there's Skittle-eating unicorns, I can't help but cringe. Since there's bad villains, are the heroes any good? No! They set up this idea with the team needing to work together and be a united front. And I thought, you know, The climax would have them fighting all together as a family. Nope. Literally everyone loses their powers except Billy, because he's the main character. The siblings don't even contribute that much. They're at the start and then they slowly all lose their powers and that's it. As for positives, I think Freddy has improved a lot. He's not as annoying as before and he's actually pretty heroic. Maybe he should have been the champion the whole time. Yeah, there's really not a lot I like about this movie. Billy sacrifices himself in the end, which I thought would be this big heroic moment. And I actually thought they were gonna kill him off. But the way they bring him back is so fucking funny to me. He does die, very sad, and as everyone stands over his grave being sad, the wizard informs everyone that he could be revived if the staff was working, but it doesn't anymore. Only a god can re-spark it. So Wonder Woman shows up. Yeah, we pan from Billy's grave to her boots, and then her theme music starts playing.
There is one.
Like, this feels so out of left field. Like, I get it, she is a god, I guess. But also, how did she know this was going on? How did she know this was the stuff? What? Makes zero sense, but I really think that moment's really funny. The reason I was doing this review like this is because I didn't like this movie, and I couldn't really think of much to talk about because it's all just kind of bad. Anyway, back to sitting down, Tom. The Flash confuses the hell out of me, because I don't really mind the emotional themes, the action scenes, and performances by the actors. I should like this movie, but then you start to think about the premise, and the idea they clearly wanted to do, and it all falls apart. So Barry learns how to time travel, so goes back and saves his mum from dying, and in turn stops his dad from going to jail for her alleged murder, which by itself is kind of stupid. We saw in Justice League that Barry's dad was in prison for supposedly murdering his wife, and you'd think we'd get an explanation of what happened, right? You are wrong, idiot, because we still don't know why he was convicted. He was falsely accused because he was nearby? Does the police have any evidence that he did it? Like a motive? You aren't telling us? Oh, my bad. Sorry for wanting to get invested in the main driving force of the main character. Anyway, Barry's time mission is successful, but he's knocked out of the Chrono Bowl by this mysterious entity. I shit you not, this is the one and only time we see this guy before his big reveal. There's so much other shit happening that you straight up forget what the main villain is up to. And yes, he is the main villain. Barry runs into his younger self, and a whole bunch of changes have happened. But he makes it right in the end, hooray! Another massive problem I have is young Barry. Our Barry has to teach him how to use all his powers nice and quick. Young Barry is so annoying. And I know that's the point, but oh my god. He is meant to be annoying, so our Barry can see how others perceive him and his actions. But our Barry does not act like this. Sure, he isn't that normal by any standards, but he does not compare to this guy. And then young Barry instantly falls in love with Kara or something and spends the climax trying to save her life and seemingly goes insane doing so and becomes that entity I mentioned earlier. I get it, I get it. But my question is, why does he do all this? Like, okay, he's immature, but spending decades of your life trying to save this person you just met is crazy. These two share like one scene together, so it adds to how weird this all feels. He doesn't even seem to care that Bruce dies, so it's not like he's doing it for everyone. It's so clunky, and there isn't even a cool fight scene with these two in the end. Future Barry shows up, reveals himself, then dies. Our Barry is a lot better in the character department. I was a little worried because usually comic relief characters don't work that great as leads, but he pulls it off. But let's get one thing clear. Ezra Miller is a horrible person in real life, and I do not like him. But he plays this character pretty well. All the emotional moments really hit, and you forget that he's a piece of shit. While the time travel aspect was obviously part of the movie for a long time while developing it, there are some multiverse elements at play, and this feels completely forced. This concept did start getting really popular when this was released, so DC wanted a piece of that pie, but it adds nothing to the plot. I can't help but think it was a way to cash in on the idea of bringing in actors to take up their old roles, like what Marvel was doing. Michael Keaton's Batman returns, and while I like his inclusion, I wish Ben Affleck got a chance to play a different version of the character. Batman has been mistreated so much in these movies, so this could have been a chance to start from scratch. We get cameos from other versions of characters at the end, but all these guys are CGI and they are horrifying to look at. This is what the movie is known for. Most of the CG is pretty alright, but when they try doing people, run. It's so weird to look at while you try to convince yourself it's not that bad, but it's pretty jarring. The Flash had a lot of potential to be at least solid, but fumbles a lot. Maybe it was due to the troubled production, but after the fact, I can't say it's anything more than an okay movie. Oh, and there's another Diana cameo. I'm sick of her. There's been a good handful of movies so far that I've considered to be bad, but most of the time they were entertaining in their own right. I think it's even worse when a movie is boring. Blue Beetle is boring. Everything, and I mean everything about this movie, is so by the book that I feel like I'm in a library. The main character does the job, but doesn't have anything that makes him stand out from the others. The action is so unremarkable that I can't remember if anything cool happens. The plot is the most cookie cutter idea for any film, and the acting is fine, I guess. It mostly comes down to the script, because there are a lot of lines that are stinkers.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm keeping this one.
Blah! Most of it is full of exposition and just flops. No one feels like a real person, and the acting doesn't really help either. I don't think anyone is doing a bad job, but I don't feel like anyone is trying here. There are some scenes where I can tell the actor's locked in, but that's just one, maybe. I don't know, I've already forgotten. I wasn't attached to Jaime's family, because they are all the same. Wacky and quirky with nothing else. They try to deepen these characters with heart-to-heart scenes, but these don't work at all because they don't feel earned. Who are you again? Our protagonist is Jaime, who gets this scarab infused into him, and now is the Blue Beetle. He can make whatever weapon he can think of, and the CGI for the suit looks a bit off in places. It is a very CGI heavy character, so you see it a lot. For the entire final battle, Jaime doesn't shut the fuck up.
I thought you'd hit harder than that. Alright! Scratch my back? I'll scratch yours! It is a little harder than I thought.
The scarab is being hunted by Victoria Cord. If you think the criticism is over, buckle in. Victoria Cord is so bland, my god. She ticks off another box on the generic movie trope list by being a rich, evil CEO with a big scary henchman. And get this freak gets the same powers as our hero. He is obviously not a good character, and they try to shove a sad backstory after the final fight. And do you think I care? This is all the plot of that Max Steel movie I reviewed last year, and I'm not even joking. Weird alien gives protagonist powers and a CGI suit. The villain wants it. The hero is imprisoned so the villain can get the powers. The two forces fight using the same powers, and both characters have dead dads. Blue Beetle isn't good by any means, but I don't dislike it as much as some of the other ones. The last movie is a sequel to my favorite movie. And it's shit. Nah, not really. But it certainly doesn't live up to the first one in my eyes. It lacks a lot of the sauce that its predecessor had, which is very disappointing. A lot of the locations visited don't stand out as much compared to before. The plot itself is pretty predictable, without any substance to keep you engaged. And there isn't any of those iconic Arthur moments that I love. I think it handles Black Manta well, as he is now, for the most part, the main villain of the film, instead of appearing twice just to get shat on. He continues his quest for revenge, while also getting manipulated by an evil Triton. He isn't super complex, but he works well in acting as an antagonist. He's tasked with freeing an evil king of an evil lost kingdom. That's the name of the movie. What a dumb subheading, by the way. It's hella lame, and what happened to just putting a 2 next to a movie's name? While Black Manta is bathing in his anger, Aquaman got married, had a kid, and is living life. His character is also continued, as he hates the job of being king, which isn't a surprise. He only became king to stop the seas and land from beefing. But when he catches wind of Manta's misdoings, he breaks Orm out of prison to help. Okay, why bring Orm? They say it's because he knew Manta, but did he really? The two shared 2 interactions, and they weren't even in person. Whatever, we just need Orm to be here, so we can see more of the brothers' fun dynamic. I'm glad it was kind of established already that there might be some warmth between the two, so seeing them both here is great. It really makes a lot of the scenes they're in a lot more... Oh, a random explosion! This movie's great! Another point that sucks butt is that the evil king who uses Manta only appears for a moment, then dies immediately. It's a tad anticlimactic, but there's been enough runtime. The fight scenes get a bit of a downgrade, but there are some okay ones here to watch. That sucks, because the fight scenes in the first Aquaman were some of the best out of all of these movies. It's a shame this film was so undercooked, but that was probably because there was 4 movies released in 2023. It makes a lot more sense now why those movies were how they were. And all 4 of them are near the bottom of my list. Speaking of, Suicide Squad, Birds of Prey, Blue Beetle, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Black Adam, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, The Flash, Justice League, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Wonder Woman 1984, Man of Steel, Shazam, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, The Suicide Squad. While a lot of the movies in this universe are pretty stinky, there are still some worth checking out. It's a shame the connectedness was non-existent in the latter half of its run, and I have no idea where they were trying to take this saga. I know there's a Peacemaker show, but I'm gonna save that for another video, and because it's also canon to the new DC universe. I'm definitely excited to see where James Gunn takes these characters, and Superman better be good.